I mean, it's only 2 game weeks gone, but I looked back at the total pens in the last episode. So what I did this time is I looked to see how many pens there were in the first 2 game weeks.
How did you get this stat?
That's easy. Fantasy Football Scout's got the data. It's there to everyone. So effectively,
that wasn't a deliberate plug.
No, I know it wasn't. But
I was genuinely wondering.
Yeah, you just do custom tables, penalties faced, basically. So yeah. As you can see here, though, look back to the previous years when we had 8 and 7 penalties. They were the years with the highest totals.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the fact we've had 13 so far, isn't it pretty certain we're going to have a higher total than 106? And if you extrapolate that, we're looking at what, 120, 125? Surely not. I mean, my theory is that the referees are going to get together and go, look, this is getting a bit out of control. We've got to do something about it. But I don't know what they can do about it now, because underneath this table is Dale Johnson's table. Dale Johnson, who writes for ESPN, has made this VAR and defensive handballs his go-to thing at the moment. He's doing a lot of threads on it in Twitter. We talked about him last week. He posted this data from the various leagues to highlight just how much the Premier League has lagged behind in recent seasons. You look at League One last year, 31 penalties for handball. Bundesliga, 22, which actually went down. 57 in Serie A, 48 in La Liga, and we were down on 20. So we're miles behind. And now apparently FIFA have got onto the Premier League and said, look, you've got to be harsher. So the theory is we're going to catch up. That's penalties for handball as well. 57 penalties for handball in Serie A last season. It's crazy.
And the penalties like we've been seeing, it's because I mean we'll talk about when we Luke. Yeah, you sent a great message. Yeah, I mean how they can give a penalty for something which hits your arm when you're in the middle of a running motion.
Perhaps I'm a dinosaur, but at the end of the day, for me, a penalty in my mind has always been, a misdemeanor has happened, something bad has happened, or you're about to score a goal in some way, because a penalty is close to a goal, isn't it? It's pretty much a goal. So, there's some exceptional circumstances, but most of the time it's going to be like you've completely taken someone out in the penalty area. You've literally handled the ball and stopped it going into the goal like you are the goalkeeper, even though you're a defender. That's the kind of stuff you should be getting penalties for. And right now, you're just getting them from complete lottery. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just bouncing off of people and hitting them in their arms when they're not even in an unnatural position, and they're giving them for a penalty. For me, that is just luck. I mean, you can do all the research you want on who's going to get a clean sheet in this game, X, Y, Z. All it takes is that to happen, and it's suddenly out the window. It's just really annoying that they're going to give them for that. All we can do is pick penalty takers, I guess.
That's it.
I don't like it.
Yeah, that's the strategy, isn't it?
But we don't want that, do we? We don't want it to be that simple.
It's not football. No. Because for me, right, let me just go down this thread a little bit. There are certain teams that spend a lot of the game in the opponent's penalty box. Man City stand out straight away. I think Sterling had the most touches of any player in the opponent's penalty box. Right? They're basically camped out in some games. So for me, just on this alone, for the handball penalties, they're more likely to get more of these because the ball's in the box more often. So straight away, I'm thinking, well, De Bruyne's going to hit 10, 15 penalties here to his normal tally that he's going to get of his outfield goals and his assists and everything else. We're suddenly looking at, if he stays fit, you're potentially looking at record points for someone like that, I think. I genuinely believe that Man City could be getting a penalty every other game the way it's going.
Well, just look at the way City, when Stace dived in and took out
De Bruyne.
De Bruyne, yeah. So that came from nothing. Like that ball into the box came so quickly. They get the ball into the box so quickly and invite those kind of challenges. So ignoring the handball thing, I think they get penalties anyway because of things like that. You add in that rule as well. I completely agree. It's why I think De Bruyne is just, I think, no one wants to use the word essential, but I don't see how you can not have him because he's going to get monster hauls wherever he plays.
You couldn't. I mean, I went into that game against Wolves thinking, okay, I'm about 70-30 in favour of De Bruyne. But then when I saw him perform as he did, it was all over. And the penalties are just another factor in his favour. And yeah, I mean, Salah's the same, really. Can you go without Salah? We talked about, doing shuffling the heavy hitters, but De Bruyne, once you've got De Bruyne and Salah, they're going to get penalties in any game. You can't look at fixtures and go, well, that's a hard game for Salah, so I'm not going to play him, or I'm going to get rid of him and get another heavy hitter, because he's got those penalties in his favour.
You do if you're late riser.
Yeah, well, it's tricky for him. I think this has made it harder for him with those two now. I just want to go back to these stats for Dale Johnson, because Bundesliga went down from 38 in 2018-19 to 22 penalties for handball. And the theory is behind that, they're saying it went down because the defenders learned to adapt. Now, do we think there's a chance that will happen? You know, we've had 2 weeks of it. Obviously, managers are surely saying to their defenders, right, do not put your arms, do not extend them from your body under any circumstances. So do we think that's going to happen, that behaviour change is going to happen and it's going to slow it down?
Well, it didn't happen in Serie A or La Liga.
No,
in Serie A, it went up from 37 to 57. In La Liga, it went up from 35 to 48.
But there's something about German efficiency meant they learned.
Probably.
Yeah, or maybe they're just a little bit more. I mean, going on the basis of our defenders, I don't think we've got that many good ones in our league, to be honest. So I'd be surprised if they could adapt. I mean, how can you adapt to some of those penalties? You could play them. There's no way you can adapt to some of them that they were given over the weekend. What could you possibly do apart from just have no arms? You cut them off.
Well, Castan's profile picture in FPL is him with no arms, so he's going to.
Oh, is it?
He's probably going to be the best.
Advantage, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is it's a crazy variable that we didn't really see coming. Yeah. That it's definitely. I mean, it was rumoured that it was going to be a factor. I didn't think we'd see it materialise after 2 game weeks. Like, it's crazy. By this time last season, there were only 4 penalties, and we've had 13.
Yeah,
that's astonishing.
It is.
Yeah, so I think if you take this forward and you try to get penalty takers, but also look who is getting the ball in the box an awful lot.
Yeah.
So there's some teams like, for example, Burnley, they basically bypass the midfield and hoof it to wood every time, right? And then they basically hoof it around when they're in the box. So I don't want to be disrespectful.
Harsh, very harsh.
I feel like Wood who is a good goal scorer anyway, is going to end up getting, he's going to be valued. I mean, I think there's a shout here to just go with a lot of these, like Morpay, you already saw the list here, these cheap strikers who are also on penalties, your Mitrovic, your Morpay's, your Antonios, who potentially on all these guys. You can ignore the expensive forwards, go with them, and then you can have your Bruno Fernandes, your Kevin De Bruyne, and your Salah in midfield. And
build a whole team of penalty takers. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I started with 5 in my team. I didn't get any, but there we go.
Of course
other people did, like Salah.
Leave it. Oh, it's funny because I nearly tweeted, Ollie Norwood and Mark Noble, anyone, because they're not players you want to sign, but then neither of them turned up for game week 2, so it's a good job I didn't tweet that.
What's interesting now is that a lot of the old penalty takers like Noble or Jorginho and the 5.5 midfielders you'd never consider getting in have lost their they've lost their penalty duties now, a lot of them, to the strikers and to the players who you do want anyway. So like De Bruyne, for example, like if it's going to be Rodri taking the penalty, like you can think, do I want to get Rodri and risk him? Thinking, maybe, but now it's De Bruyne. You're like, whoa, that's
when it's De Bruyne and Salah,
to a player's price. I think you can add $1 million to a player's price if they take penalties now. If it's Klitsch and he's 5.5, I think you can almost say he's a 6 or a 6.5. If they get the penalties that we think they could, you look at Salah. There's no way he's a 12 million midfielder. Now the way it's going to be for me, he is going to be.
If they've got some kind of threat outside of set plays and they're taking penalties, they've become an amazing.
Jorginho is one of the highest goal scorers in the game off the back of 2 games.
Yeah, but now he's missed the penalty. Is Werner going to take the next one? That'd be nice.
So do you think? I mean, potentially Salah and De Bruyne could beat their points records on the back of this.
I think De Bruyne will.
Yeah, De Bruyne will. I don't know how many penalties Liverpool will get, but
if they stay fit, I think there's every chance, right? I mean, De Bruyne's arguably in his prime right now, and going to be so key to them. I mean, we haven't seen the best of De Bruyne, I don't think, yet. I think he's just so
that's a scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah.